Now, the other night I played some Advanced Warfare. Slightly unusual and rare for me to do that, but you know, I just had my momentary lapse of reason where I thought I'm going to pop over and see how it's playing. And much to my surprise, it was still exactly the same. But hey, you know, I do keep trying, and I keep hoping I'm going to turn it on and it's going to be something different or something improved, or I don't know, it's just going to make me excited, which I can't really see happening, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Now, I went over to Advanced Warfare, and straight away as soon as I went over, I got an invite from a guy. Now, I don't normally talk when I'm playing late at night, for the simple fact I've mentioned before, everybody's asleep, and this was a chap from America, so I'm assuming it was, you know, well, I know it was a lot earlier over there, and obviously he could get into the banter and the chat with his friend, but he was sort of enticing me to try and get into the chat, which I just simply couldn't, because the last thing I want is the rage of my wife coming down the stairs and shaking her head with a half-asleep look on her face. No, I'm not into that, thank you. I don't want to see the venom spewing from her mouth as I've just disturbed a very nice, probably drunken sleep. So I kept stum, and I was playing away with these guys, and I was sending them sort of the odd message when I could, and I was listening. Obviously I could hear what they were saying, and I was listening to their conversation with each other. Now, the connection in the game was terrible because I was obviously on an American server, and looking at my screen I could see that everybody I was playing against was in America, North America, South America, and there was obviously just me, little old me, down here in England. So yeah, it wasn't the best anyway, but you know, I quite happily played along. I didn't really want to stay there too long and overstay my welcome because I just wasn't enjoying it. But I was listening to these guys chat, and the sort of thing that they were saying, they were talking about Advanced Warfare and Call of Duty 2015, because I don't want to say Black Ops 3 because we don't know what it's going to be called, but you know, they were talking about Call of Duty 2015, and they were having a chat about Advanced Warfare, and I was quite surprised at the conversation they were having, because it was almost slightly contradictory. I'm not hating on these guys, it was just a slightly contradictory sort of conversation. It actually surprised me, you know, what people's opinions are and what they want to see and what they don't want to see. Now, they were saying to each other, do you like Advanced Warfare? And they were like, yeah, I like it, you know, it's a good game. You know, a lot of people don't like it, but I actually really enjoy it. And they were talking about how many DNA bombs they had each and everything else, and they were saying, I like the flow of it, I like how it just keeps moving all the time. That's the one thing I like about, you know, the exo movements and everything else. And then the one chap turned around to the other one and he said, what about the next Call of Duty? He said, do you want to see exo movements and the exo suits in that? And the other guy turned around and he said, no, absolutely not. He said, I really hope they don't bring it back. And this guy was like, yeah, I totally agree. I really don't want to see it again. I think it's been used once, fair enough, but I don't want to see it make a return. Even though I think it makes the game flow nice and smooth, I just don't want to see those exosuits come back. And I thought that was quite surprising because, in my honest opinion, the reason I really don't like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare is because, like I've said, it doesn't feel like a Call of Duty to me. And I want to play Call of Duty, I want to play Call of Duty. If I want to get bullshitted, I want to get bullshitted with that Call of Duty feel and that vibe to it, and understand that it's bullshitted me because it's Call of Duty and not something different, you know, something completely different. And that's what Advanced Warfare is to me. It's just a totally different game. They took a massive gamble with it, and as far as I'm concerned, it just really didn't pay off because it's not familiar. However, the one key element with Advanced Warfare that makes it different from every other Call of Duty is the fact that it has exo movements. The weapons being a little bit futuristic, not really, but it's the exo movements that give it that stamp, I suppose, of being unique. Now, to say that you like a game because it has that uniqueness to it and it has that steady flow, I wouldn't really call it a steady flow, but because it has that constant flow of constant action all the time, and then to say that the next Call of Duty they really don't want to see it is quite surprising to me, because it is in turn the USP that has made this game sell, I suppose. Now, I really honestly don't think we need to see another exo movement in the next Call of Duty, because even though people do believe that this keeps the game flowing and keeps it moving all the time, I think we've had Call of Duties in the past that have done that. You know, Treyarch, love them or hate them, their games are fast-paced, they are always moving, they are very, you know, you can camp if you want to camp, but the key element to it, and the reason I actually enjoy Call of Duty Black Ops 2, is that it is constant moving. You can rush. I think you can rush more in Black Ops 2 than any other Call of Duty. You know, your class setups and everything else, you can make yourself into a rusher, you can make yourself into more of a static and steady player with what you put your loadout down as and the attachments you put on your guns, such as stock and things like that. It keeps the game moving all the time, and there's not an exo movement in sight. So my honest opinion is I really don't think they need to bring it back to keep that pace, because the reason I hate XO movements is because, and I've seen Jive Turkey talk about this, and it's true, you know, there's no steady flow to it as far as I'm concerned. There's no flanking, there's no using a kind of team-based strategy. You know, let's push forward, you guys take that side, we'll take this side, we can keep them in their spawn, we can hold them off. I suppose effectively spawn trap to a certain degree, but there's always more of an element of teamwork, whereas with Advanced Warfare that element has totally gone. You know, people are jumping over you, jumping behind you. It's one of the key things that everybody talks about is getting shot in the back. That's my issue with it. You know, if I see a guy in front of me, I want to have a one-on-one battle. I don't want to be aerial. I don't want him jumping over my head. I don't want somebody else to jump behind me, where I have to keep, you know, that constant awareness around all the time. So for me, I absolutely detest the XO movements, and I hope for the love of God that Call of Duty 2015 doesn't feel that they need to bring it back, because they probably have to keep the trend running. You know, I don't want them to feel like they've been almost pushed to have to keep that XO ability going, because my own personal opinion is that everybody's really banking on Treyarch to pull something out the bag, and if they reintroduce this, it would just be another nail in the coffin. That's just my opinion. So what are your thoughts? Are you liking the XO movements? Would you like to see them come back in Call of Duty 2015, or would you be glad to see the back of them and leave them with Advanced Warfare where they belong? Apocalypse done.